chemical engineering, biological systems engineering, materials science and engineering, and biomedical engineering do a presentation for you. And then at the end of the evening, we will have a Q&A, a question and answer session. So as we go throughout the evening, please have some questions in mind that you would be curious to ask the panelists when they come up on stage, and we'll do that toward the end. We will also want to share with you the QR code if you are here for the Engineering 1215 and 1414 class assignment. We will do that at the end of the evening. So a few housekeeping rules. So the first thing that I want to showcase, let me get to the right place. It's not looking right. Perfect. Here we go. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is go ahead and make sure that you silence your cell phone. So if you have your phone with you tonight, please make sure that you turn your ringer off. And I'll do the same for myself here. The second thing I would like for you to do is go ahead and close your laptop. If you have your laptop with you tonight, please refrain from using it during the session. I'm going to give you a few things that happened last night to kind of warrant that kind of requirement for this afternoon. It was really loud in here last night, which was great because we had a lot of students. But please refrain from chatting with your neighbor next door during the session because you never know what you might learn from the presenters tonight, but also from what you might be able to pick up in the future of engineering. Also, if you did happen to pick up a sticker, it was the College of Engineering sticker, we are so happy to be able to provide that sticker to you. That is for you to take home with you. Please do not put it on the back of the chairs. That is not cool, okay? All right, so we are excited to have you here tonight. So for those of you who are enrolled in Engineering 1215, raise your hand. Okay? How about if you're in Engineering 1414? Awesome. Excellent. Okay. So like I mentioned, we will have a QR code for you and a URL. It's kind of a tiny URL at the end of the evening if you are here specifically for a class assignment and you want to be counted for that. At the end of this week, so after tomorrow evening, we will provide your engineering education faculty with the attendance for each of the evenings, and that will map to how many of the sessions you attended. In the email reminders that you also got about this event, we would have also shared some other great resources to help you with major exploration, to help you learn about the College of Engineering. One of those, of course, is this week, Explore Engineering Week. There's also a really great website called Explore Engineering that has a clearinghouse of a ton of information about all of the engineering disciplines. So please make sure that you are utilizing that as part of your major exploration journey. There's also little quick tips on how to explore majors if you're unsure where to start. There's engineering majors at a glance, so it gives you a snapshot of all the disciplines, and also lots of career resources for those of you who are interested in learning about careers, co-ops, internships, and all of those things. One of the other resources that we have developed here in the College of Engineering with partnership between engineering education and some of our other degree granting departments is a Minecraft museum. So if you are into Minecraft, there is a museum for you to explore the engineering disciplines. This is a free student version of Minecraft, so you can download that. If for some reason you can't get the QR code to work for you on the screen here, you just check your email from today and you'll be able to have that Minecraft museum to download and be able to access all of that information. Okay, so now, everybody good on the rules for tonight? Please make sure you keep your laptops closed, cell phones on silent, and kind of keep your chatter down to a minimum because this is a big place and it all carries very loudly. So what I would like to do is remind us of the departments that we're going to have here tonight for Explore Engineering, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues from Chemical Engineering. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Steve Wren, Department Head of Chemical Engineering, and my colleagues and I tonight are going to help give you some information to help you make your decisions about what engineering discipline you might want to explore. Real quick word about me. We have a couple things in common. I also was a student here, graduated in 1991 in chemical engineering, and like many of you now, I'm returning to Blacksburg, started last November, so a first year in a way. So starting off with chemical engineering, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the profession itself, as well as the specific department here in Blacksburg. And the quote on the screen, which I'll let you read, is from a report commissioned by the National Academy of Engineering, released just this year. And what you see is things like energy, food, water. What they have in common is they're all chemicals, they're all molecules, and chemical engineers really do manufacture, create, move molecules around, making the molecules that the world needs. A couple of photos that you see are timely given the need for solutions to combat climate change and also the pandemic. You might not know that a co-founder of Moderna is a chemical engineer, and the leader of the Pfizer vaccine effort, also a chemical engineer. But pretty much any product that you have in your hand, in your house, at school, in your dorm room, in large part was not found walking out in nature, growing on trees. Somebody had to manufacture it, and chemical engineers play a large part in delivering those products into your hands. In the department, we have 3 tracks that help you specialize your studies. They are, as listed here, climate and energy. There you can think of things like alternative fuels, carbon captured, sequestration, health and medicine track, like the vaccine, although there are other tools that you'll see that chemical engineers play a part in producing. And then what might be surprising is, if you have an interest in computers, is data analytics. And the key point to bear in mind there is that for any data analytics, the algorithm needs to be applied to a certain domain. So you could think of things like optimizing ways to get through traffic, but you could also think about ways to find and explore to discover drugs and to find ways to make fuels that are not fossil fuels have an energy content that's economically viable. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So looking at the first track, health and medicine, starting there because by far we have more faculty in that area than any others. We have 18 faculty, about 10 are touching in this area. Talked briefly about the vaccine, but actually that's not really new. Even back before or during World War II, the discovery of penicillin, again, getting the compound into the hands of many, many people, chemical engineers play a key role in scaling up and producing quantities on large scale. In our department, in the past years, during the pandemic, Professor Ducker, for example, developed a coating that can destroy the bacteria, destroy the virus, so not an immune response, but a direct killing of the bacteria. We have professors working in liver, growing stem cells to create what's called an organoid, so you can examine what's happening very much as what's happening in the body, but not with an actual patient. We have professors doing work on the brain, and yes, including LSD. And then my own research is involving ultrasound contrast agents to diagnose heart disease. And so actually you're seeing a real image there of a heart. You're seeing a cavity. And I'll just take a quick moment here to highlight, I think even without being doctors, you can see this region of the image is dark and this region is bright. With our contrast agent, you can actually see where the blood is flowing in the wall of the heart. And that technology has led to a startup trying to translate that technology into the clinic. I'll tell a little bit more about that, give you a quick story here. The picture up here on the top left, this is a hot air balloon. Took that photograph while walking in the woods in Germany. I'll say more about Germany in a few minutes. That inspired this cartoon, which is what's called a lipid nanoparticle, very much similar to the way that the COVID vaccine was packaged in a lipid nanoparticle. But what's important here is recognize that as I was working on this, didn't go very far until a doctor called me in 2015. That's Dr. Angel, a cardiologist, and said, I've been reading your papers, but what we really need in the clinic is something that can detect a heart attack in real time with ultrasound. Could you do that? So we started working that on the board here, and that led to a tweaking of that original concept. You can see some of the resemblance here to this structure on the bottom with that on the top. And then got students involved in the lab. Those students are now working for the company. You can see the original prototype of the technology. This is basically mimicking a heart. This is an ultrasound probe. The plates are providing an electrical signal that the heart would normally do. So just to give you an idea of how students can get involved as chemical engineers in giving doctors the tools they need to impact people's lives. And climate, we're doing a lot of work with getting off of fossil fuels. So one thing is to get the carbon that we've already generated out of the atmosphere, and then to get us onto fuels that are sustainable. But that's not so easy. And for example, if we're going to consider biomass to make it economically viable, we have to clean it up, get things out. So for example, we have to deoxygenate that material. So we have professors working on alternative fuels and carbon capture. Then comes the data analytics. This is where I said it might be somewhat of a surprise. Let me give a couple examples to hopefully explain what we mean. This is data analytics in what's called the chemical engineering domain. So for example, if we want to have a drug that will directly attack the COVID virus, not a immunotherapy, but directly kill it, we could either do a large number of experiments with our hands, or we could let the computer discover those drugs for us. So, for example, Professor Duckmush has found about 10 candidates using a computer, and then went to the chemistry department and said, hey, instead of looking at the entire universe of molecules, could you make any one of these 10? They dwindled that down to 3, and then actually produced those, and then are doing animal studies to advance that technology forward. And so it's data analytics in the chemical engineering domain. A similar idea could be played out in the fuel technology, in that we would like to find a way, a catalyst that's called, you can think of that as a vitamin for fuels. How can we find the right catalyst to give these alternative fuels the energy content they need to be economically viable? I mentioned we have about 18 faculty, we have about 100 students coming in, so total class of about 400 students in the department doing the types of research that you're seeing here. And if we look at some other opportunities while you're here in the curriculum, the couple keys are there is a unit operations lab in the summer after the junior year. About a half of the students will do that in Blacksburg, but the other half will do it abroad, either in Denmark or in Germany. And coincidentally, the photo that I showed you with that hot air balloon, that Germany photo, was actually at the same university where students are doing the study abroad. A large number of our students are also doing co-op or internships, but the other key point is involved in the undergraduate research. And so you can do the tracks in the curriculum in the classroom, but also practicing that in the laboratory. For anyone who's interested, we typically have a reasonable starting salary, although I'll say this is not a sales pitch. We're trying to give you information to choose what's a natural discipline for you. And if you're really motivated by money, I would say engineering is not really the way to go. But nevertheless, those are the numbers for anyone who's interested. And here is the study abroad. So Denmark and Copenhagen, DTU, Bochum. What's interesting here is, if we think of the drill field is the empty space and the buildings all around it, the university in Bochum is sort of exactly the opposite. All the buildings are clustered in the middle, and the green space is around. And so this photo, that walk in the woods, was going southwest of campus, where I was inspired by that. And by the way, it's just this balloon. The reason for that inspiration was this was the core of the active ingredient. The trees was that lipid nanoparticle around it. We have an Institute for Chemical Engineers, AICHE, student chapter here. We have a representative tonight. And we have several competitions that they participate in nationally. In the last 4 years, they've placed either first or second, so we're proud of them. The competition is involving the so-called Chemi car. It's a car that runs on no fuel. It's driven by chemical reactions. I like to say that it was run on orange juice because the reaction involved vitamin C. Two key people that you want to know is Professor Goldstein, Associate Department Head, and Dr. Whiting, Academic Advisor. Dr. Whiting is actually with several current students out in the lobby, so if you have questions tonight, you can visit with them outside. And I will leave you with that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Good luck with your studies.
So good evening, everybody. It's good to be here in front of all of you on this beautiful Tuesday evening. And I'm glad that you came and have an opportunity to learn about the different disciplines within the college. My name is Darrell Scott. I'm going to talk to you about biological systems engineering. I am the assistant department head in my program. And I have, so where I'm coming from, I went to University of Colorado as an undergraduate student. And right now I live in Blacksburg. I have 2 older daughters, one that just graduated from college and one that's a junior. And then I have a 10-year-old son. So, let's see. Okay. So I'm going to step through, talk to you about what BSE is, so Biological Systems Engineering. And a lot of you probably have not heard of us in our discipline. And so part of my main objective tonight is to share with you what we are, and then if you want to learn more, for you to come and visit us. And this is going? Okay. So from a definition perspective, I'm going to talk a little bit about our community. And what makes us a little bit more unique is that we really have a connection between and link together biology and engineering. And similar to chemical, we're exploring, and a lot of us across engineering are exploring critical problems that we face today in society, whether it be food shortage, climate change. There's a lot of big challenges that we have in front of us over the next 30 years. As a program, we are very invested in everyone's success at the undergraduate level and the graduate level because we truly believe that sustainable solutions require an investment from all of us. Here are some pictures of folks across our program. These are a lot of undergraduate students and some of our faculty and graduate students, just to give you an idea of what our community looks like. And then some fast facts about biological systems engineering. We have a pretty high four-year graduation rate, right around 79%. We're one of the smaller programs in the college, and so we have about a 7-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio, which means that there's a lot of contact time with professors in the program. Over 90% of our students engage in some type of experiential learning, whether it be undergraduate research in the laboratory, co-ops, undergraduate work. The scholarships in our program, we have $150,000 per year to give out to our students. And so students that apply, there's both merit-based and need-based scholarships. And it's one of the more fun parts of my job when I'm able to give and help students in need. Our program has over 50% of our students that identify as female, so we have a higher ratio than some of the other programs, to give you an idea. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Capstone experience, which is a year-long experience, a senior design project. High job placement, and the median starting salary for our graduates is about $68,000. So stepping back in terms of the grand challenge that we have in engineering and society, that all of us can contribute to across the college and the university is meeting future needs of people. Food supply, making sure everybody gets fed across the world, right? Making sure that we have enough energy and water supplies and doing that in a sustainable fashion. That is a grand challenge that all of us think about to some degree. When you were in high school, I'm sure you were introduced to it. We see climate change that's in front of us. And where our program is what we focus on is really trying to use and harness the potential of biology, connecting that to engineering to help solve some of these grand challenges that we have. So thinking about the word system in biological systems engineering, the word system here is when we're thinking about a set of things that work together and that are connected, okay? These processes and things can be at different scales, both from a spatial sense as well as from a temporal sense. And so here are some images showing you a spatial scale of a protein molecule that's obviously very small relative to the Chesapeake Bay watershed, which is that fourth image on your right-hand side. So a much larger watershed scale of a much larger system, or even going up to the planet Earth. The temporal scale, right? We can think of things that happen at nanoseconds to things that happen at decades or beyond. And all in understanding how these things are connected together becomes really important in terms of thinking about solving and addressing challenges that we have as a society. So that's what the word system is connecting these things together. So I'm going to give you two examples from a practical side, if you will, and kind of help it thinking about it in a flowchart perspective. So we do a lot of creating of new things and also fixing of problems. So an example from a creation standpoint is where we might take a raw material and use a biological process to create something that's value added, right? Maybe we're going to create a new biomaterial, or we're going to improve human health, or we're going to increase food production. And so using a biological process to do that. When we're thinking about the bottom panel is when a lot of times we have folks in our program that think about fixing issues. And so how many of you know where our water comes from here in Blacksburg? So if you've been down to the New River, I see a couple of hands in the front, which is good. If you've been down to the New River, all of our water here in Blacksburg is coming directly from the New River, right? So it's being pumped up and is being distributed after it goes through a water treatment plant to us as individuals for us to drink. And one of the things that we want to ensure, and BSC is a part of, is how can we ensure that the water quality of what we're pulling out of the New River is as clean as possible. So we might use microorganisms to help clean up that water at the landscape scale or at the watershed. So the next thing I wanted to show you is that we also focus from a system perspective in terms of what we call bending the arrow. You all as freshmen are going to have an opportunity across your 4 years here to really think about how we can start bending the arrow, meaning connecting systems together to make them more sustainable, no matter what discipline you're in, okay? Here in biological systems engineering, we have folks that are working at creating new products, and then we also have folks working at a different scale in terms of cleaning up some of those, some processes such that it goes back into raw materials on the other side. So it's closing the loop. 5 different specialty areas in our program. We have students who are going to talk about biotechnology engineering, food engineering. We have students that go into the health professions, so there's a health track, environmental health engineering, and watershed science and engineering. So I'm going to give you 2 a little bit more concrete examples of what I mean by that system process, both for biotechnology and watershed science and engineering. So thinking about from a grand question in biotechnology that we have some faculty and students in terms of what they're working on when they go out for careers is sustainable food production or chemical production. And doing it sustainably such that we can meet future demands for society. You can see the diagram on the right, there's a lot of arrows that are connecting different processes, and there's biological processes embedded in that circularity. And so we have our students that work on engineering bacteria and synthetic biology that are working to create solutions that are more connected together and value-added products. Some of the other tools that our students use are data science, which involves, similar to what chemical engineering is talking about, is the data analytics. It's a big aspect of engineering right now, and I would imagine every one of you in the room will have an opportunity to play in that space. The watershed science and engineering, just to give you an example, is from a stream restoration perspective. So those of you that do a lot of hiking and biking, you might go out to Pandapis Pond and walk along the stream and see a beautiful stream, but you also have streams that are degraded by our activities as humans. And because we pull water out of streams, we want the streams to be clean, right? It ends up being less expensive for us when we have a cleaner stream so that we have less treatment to do. So this is some pictures of a stream channel here in Blacksburg, and it's part of what we call our stream lab that's run through our program. And back in the 1950s, you can see a stream channel that looks relatively degraded. The banks are eroded. There were lots of animals that were using that stream for a water source. And back in the late 2000s, we went in as a program and got some money to do a stream restoration. And we used different best management practices by creating bioretention and restoring the stream channel. And this is what it looks like today. It's a much prettier stream, so the 2010 photo is right after the stream restoration, and this photo on your bottom right is just from 2 years ago. And so biological systems engineers were part of that process. So the students that are focused in this area do a lot of hydrology, data science, fieldwork, and ecology and environmental science. Let's see, so our program is, you'll learn, it's a pretty flexible program. Fundamentally, you're gonna end up learning how material gets from point A to point B, so that transport part, and then you're gonna learn a lot about the reaction part, whether or not we're talking about getting material into a cell, or whether or not we're talking about rainfall that falls on the ground and being transported into a stream. And then the reactions, which are focused on the biology that occur along those flow paths. Students will have a core in engineering, but complemented with a pretty solid foundation in biology. I end up teaching a numerical methods class to all of our sophomores. Like most of the engineering degrees, right, we're gonna have a lot of problem solving, design. The term power skills, when I ran this presentation by my undergrads, they're like, hey, Scotty, what is a power skill? And so it used to be called soft skills, right? It's a power skill, right? So maybe you all aren't like totally comfortable with communication at this point, totally get it, right? Ideally, no matter where you go, 3 years from now, you're gonna be uber confident, maybe not confident enough to talk in a room like this, but pretty confident, okay? So that's one of our goals across the college. Hands-on labs. Our program has a lot of hands-on labs associated with our courses that give you an opportunity to complement what you're learning in the classroom. Advising in BSE, so Ms. Baker is sitting in the front, and you can meet Ms. Baker later on along with we have 4 of our ambassadors here. She works really hard to provide individual attention to each and every one of our students every semester, which is a pretty awesome thing, and really helping advocate for your success, whether it be in study abroad or connecting you to the needs that you have as a student. Some opportunities in our program, a lot of our students, as I mentioned in the fast facts, do undergraduate research, and I'll mention the senior design and study abroad in a second. So undergrad research ranges from working with professors doing vaccine development to working with someone like me thinking about water resources across the state of Virginia. And so, for example, right now I have 5 undergraduate students working on developing and understanding stream flow and droughts for all the streams and rivers across Virginia and how it impacts our needs as citizens. We have, as I mentioned, a senior design capstone course. That's a year-long class. Each of our teams are usually teams of 4, sometimes 5 students that work with a faculty advisor and an industrial representative for a real-world problem. And it goes from developing your team and those team dynamics and the power skills that you develop in that capstone experience. And ultimately what you end up with is a prototype or a design that you can then explain and share when you go out into the job market. Our students, we have students that win national competitions associated with senior design, the capstone project, and it's pretty exciting. Study abroad, so every year we do have, several students that go on study abroad. Ireland, New Zealand, and Scotland are 3 of the places right now. Obviously, study abroad over the last couple years hasn't happened as much. I expect that you all will have that opportunity, especially as freshmen. And I think it's something as the college and as Virginia Tech, we really encourage that as an opportunity to explore and learn about the world. Lastly, I'm just going to end up with our careers in BSE. And so our students end up working in corporations, government agencies, and then some go on to graduate school or medical school. So I'm just going to profile 4 different folks. So Kate Lusko graduated in 2020, and she did our Watershed science and track. And so when she was here, she was really interested in renewable energy and environmental health and sustainability. She minored in green engineering, which, a plug for green engineering, it's an awesome minor to get involved in as someone that teaches in the program. And Kate was really involved in extracurriculars, both in the Society Asabi for our BSc majors, as well as outside, and she did a study abroad. And right now she's a project engineer with the Timmons group I think she's in Richmond. Sam is a student that was really interested in food engineering. And so he entered our program, just graduated this last spring. And he also was a member of Asabi. He did not do any internships when he was here, but he got a job right away and is working at this company called New Age Eats, which is a smaller startup kind of company. Molly Simon is a student that was interested in biotechnology, graduated in 2019, so she lucked out, she missed the pandemic. During her time here, was involved across the university. You can tell from her extracurriculars, both in different professional societies, as well as helping out local communities. And she's worked at Novartis, and right now is at Millipore Sigma, another biotech firm, a pretty large company. And then Karen is a student that graduated, alumni from our program, and graduated in 2021. And he was also pretty involved as a student as one could be during the COVID era, which was pretty awesome. And right now he is a medical student at EVMS in Hampton Roads. So hopefully that gives you a flavor of what our discipline is. It's pretty broad, but there's a lot of different things that you can do, and that was the intention here to share with you all. If you want to learn more, look me up. My name is Darrell Scott. Our advisor, Priscilla Baker, and you can reach her at bscadvising@vt.edu or follow us on social. Thank you all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Simanski. I am the academic advisor for Material Science and Engineering. I want to first preference and say I'm sorry if I cough. This afternoon, my throat started scratching. I'm going to review a little bit about what is Material Science and Engineering, because I'm sure some of you have not heard of it and you're quite confused. It is 2 things. It is the science of materials and the engineering of those materials to make them do what we want them to do. Okay? So we're here to design, develop new materials, and enhance the current materials that we have. Okay? We want to make them cheaper, better, last longer, all of these things. We want our airplane to be as light as it can be so it uses less fuel, but strong as it can be so that in an unfortunate impact, everyone inside is safe. Okay? So those are the things that we're into. Material science and engineering. You can't make something without a material, and I really challenge everybody to do that. You know, can you make a cake without a material? No. These are just a few of the organizations that we're in. SpaceX. I'm going to talk more about where our students get jobs later on, but these are just a few that always look for materials people. So what is material science and engineering? It is, I'm going to go ahead and bring all of these up so that you can see them all. It is the center of all engineering. Again, you can't make something without a material, and what material you choose, again, it's going to determine if it lasts, if it breaks, how long it lasts, how well it lasts, okay? Whatever industry you're involved in, you need a material scientist to say, use these materials to make your product work, okay? We are Cornerstone, and we are cross-listed with every engineering discipline, so if you're interested in electronics, look at your cell phone. That's electronic material, we design that. If you're interested in civil, in building bridges, we design those materials. We also we have a company in Roanoke that we work with who does runways for airports. And I didn't really think about this until I met these ladies. They work in high-impact runways. So all of our runways across the country have to be fire retardant. So they specialize in those type of materials. That's what we do. We're in aerospace. Can you go to space without a material? Anybody? Are you guys awake? No. Okay, so no, you can't. You can't. And you need every one of these materials to take you to outer space. You need ceramics, you need metals, you need electronics. You need them all. Okay. So whatever your interest, you can find a home here in material science and engineering. A couple things that we learn. Again, it's the blending of the science, the engineering. Yes, there is some physics involved in that. It's just the way it goes. We look at everything from the nanoscale to the larger scale and how we make things. Okay? I'm going to take a break from this and ask you guys, who's played tennis? Anyone ever played tennis? Okay. Does anyone know what the original tennis racket was made of? Wood? Yes. What was the net made out of? Goat gut. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of gross. We have evolved with our materials so that we don't need goats to make tennis rackets anymore. That's an improvement in the sport. Everything we do is about improving things. All right. Any runners in here? Any runners? Okay. So you guys go through tennis shoes frequently because the pounding your shoe takes, right? The scientists and the materials people at Nike, Adidas, all of the running shoes are working to improve that polymer so that it lasts longer each time you hit, okay? That's gonna protect your knees, your ankles, and the shoe's gonna last longer. Better for the environment, okay? We could talk about that forever. So, there are 4 main materials that we work in: ceramics, polymers, metallurgy, this says semiconductors, which is electronic materials. These are the 4, but there are offshoots of that, okay? There are composite materials. Most everything is made of a composite material, 2 or more of these things put together. And we also work in biomed, okay? I would show you, but I can't. I have a knee replacement, and that is completely biomedical and material science, because my knee replacement is gonna last 20 years versus 10 years. And that's an improvement, which is helping me, because I do not want another knee surgery. Okay. Material science and engineering here at Virginia Tech, we are one of the smaller departments. I am the sole advisor for about 200 to 250 students, depending on the year. We have created our schedule so that it is flexible. Students can go on internships, co-ops, study abroad opportunities, and still stay on track. Depending on what you do, it might be, you might stay an extra year. That's just, expect that when you go on a co-op. But I encourage everyone to go on a co-op if the opportunity arises. We have a great support system in our department. For example, the sophomores are having one of their first major tests this week. The juniors are putting together a study session to help their sophomores out, okay? And our seniors put together study sessions to help out the juniors. So it is a great support system in our department, so if any one of my students needs help, I can find it for them. Talking about our students, they have the Materials Engineering Professional Society, MEPS. MEPS is an umbrella organization for all of the independent societies associated with the different disciplines. Ceramics, they have ACERS. Metals, there's AIST and a few others. We put all of those together under MEPS so that all of our students can participate in each of these activities and gain from those experiences. One of the many things that you guys are going to participate on throughout your years here is design teams. Material science engineering students are needed in every design team because we're here to help improve the materials that you use to make your product better. What you see on the screen here are 5 domes. Our students go to a conference, which they're going to go to next month, called the MS&T conference. It's a student-driven conference, and during that conference, there are several different competitions which our students compete in. Each of these domes are students made here in our foundry. Actually, except for the white one, that was 3D printed. This competition is, the thinking behind this competition is the lightest weight dome that holds the most weight wins, Okay? As you see here, we won 4 first place. We're not bitter about that second place win at all. So these domes can hold in excess, well, let me correct myself. The dome on your far right can hold 2 Ford F-150s. Okay? I got some people's attention there. So and it's light. It was the lightest one in the competition, and it held the most weight. Actually, that one maxed out the machine, so it could possibly hold 3 Ford F-150s. We really don't know. Okay? We broke the machine. We were real happy about that. These other ones will hold a small car and a medium truck. Okay? So those are the type of things that we do. Also, at this design competition, they are making a ceramic disc golf and a mug drop. Did you guys ever participate in the mug drop in high school? You drop a mug or an egg or something and try to keep it from breaking? Okay. Our mug drop is similar to that, where they design and build their own mug, and they start dropping it from 6 inches, and they go up by 6 until the last one standing, or the last one held together, is the winner. We've won that competition several times. The first one that won just recently broke, and I'm very upset about that. Let's see. We have had an undergraduate research journal several years, which our graduate students have been running. They haven't produced a journal recently, but we encourage all of our students to do undergrad research. I would say probably 25 to 30% of our students are doing undergrad research. Your research can be in anything materials related, okay? I have had students do research in bat vocal cords. That is a material. We have had students do research on strengthening tissues. One of our faculty recently did work on, she's still doing work on tissue regrowth, wound healing, and the biodegradable toothbrush. Okay? How many of you throw away a toothbrush like every 2 to 3 months? There need to be more hands up. Really? Okay. So think about all of those toothbrushes going into a landfill. So she's doing work on a biodegradable toothbrush, so we don't have to fill the landfill. Yay! Okay, more about the careers that we were talking about. I have had students work in every industry from Yankee Candle to NASA. So anywhere they are making something, they need a material scientist there to say, these are the materials you want to make it with, or this is the process. Because there is a difference in the process, and that is another thing that we study. The process of, do you do steps 1, 2, and 3, or is it 3, 2, 1, or 2, 1, 3? The step makes the difference. So, on Thursday, we are inviting all of you and anyone else who wants to come to our labs to tour our undergraduate labs. Okay, we are going to have all kinds of demonstrations. Those domes will be on display, as well as several other items. And some of the ambassadors are going to make ice cream from liquid nitrogen. So that's going to be really cool. So that is this Thursday, okay? Also, this Saturday, the foundry where those domes were poured, the foundry is going to have an open house. So you guys can go to that. They'll give you a sandstone, which you can etch out your own design. They will pour gray iron into it, and then you get to take that home, okay? Please bring your friends, but everyone must wear long pants and closed-toed shoes. You are going into an active foundry with a kettle that is lit. Okay, this is how you can contact me. My name is Michelle Simanski. It's MSE Advising. And before I hand it off to Biomed, our new department head, Dr. Kudenbaka, would like to say a few things.
Thank you, Michelle. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Yes, my name is Sunil Kumar Kodambaka. I'm the new department head. I joined 2.5 months ago. I came from University of California, Los Angeles. I was professor there for 15 years. Happy to be here in Blacksburg. Glad to be at VT. Virginia Tech Material Science has a lot of potential, and I want 5 of your minutes to but actually to request more from you. And the reason I'm here is, well, my bachelor's was in metallurgical engineering a long time ago at Indian Institute of Technology. And back then I was told that metallurgy is the backbone of a country's economy. And needless to say, all of you have heard of a lot of global challenges, and all of you are aware that we have a lot of problems. And most of them, one could argue, could be boiled down to one problem, and that's energy. Either it's energy harvesting, storing, or spending. And it is in this regard that I want your help. We need more material scientists on the planet. The reason is simple, as Michelle pointed out. Everything depends on materials, unless you're spiritual, of course. But for the materials, one needs to make them. But before we make them, we need to understand how a material behaves. And that's where the material science comes into play. But I can guarantee you an undergrad in material science is not going to give you that. And so we will need more grad students interested in understanding materials behavior so that we can come up with disruptive technologies that take advantage of new materials. So that's where I want your help and your fellow engineers and fellow scientists in any college. We need more material scientists, period. Thank you for your attention.
Good evening, everybody. Can everyone see me over the podium? Is that okay? I'm short. It's all good. So I am Dr. Sarah Arena. I'm a collegiate associate professor and the BME undergraduate program chair at the Biomedical Engineering and Mechanics department. So, as you probably heard, a common theme throughout tonight is health. What specifies for biomedical engineering is that we're applying engineering analysis and design to make medical applications or in some way improve quality of life. So really anything that is driven in the health sector to improve the human condition. The pictures we have up there kind of span the full gamut of biomedical engineering as much as we can in 4 pictures, but going from the full body motion analysis, which is all the way on your left, going into, say, more smaller systems, looking at the helmet lab or impacts, and going into the tissue and cell space. So the third picture is actually a engineered tumor that we can use to look at different, treatment options for cancer, as well as going into the last picture, targeted nanoparticle delivery for either selectively treating cancer or other diseases. For biomedical engineering at Virginia Tech, all of these different options are research areas that we have faculty that are currently looking into. So biomechanics, first and foremost, biomedical imaging, translational cancer research. So translational cancer research is talking about how we take what we do in the lab and actually getting it to the people who need it. Neuroengineering, biomaterials, tissue engineering, and regenerative medicine. There is many more, for example, cardiovascular engineering. We just didn't have enough room on the slide to put them all. I highly encourage you to go look at our website and look at the different areas that our faculty are into, because you'll definitely find something if you're interested in the health sector. All right, so what do students in BME learn? Well, our curriculum is probably a very unique one in the biomedical engineering field compared to other universities. We have a very strong focus on the fundamental engineering principles. And this is very purposeful because it allows you to really apply it to any of those subfields within biomedical engineering. There's, as you saw, a lot of different options that you can go. But having that core foundation allows you to apply it into many of those different sectors. There is also, oh, the word got cut off, but 21 credits of technical electives. So essentially what this allows you to do is have flexibility to tailor your degree into a subfield if you choose for biomedical engineering, or kind of get an idea of what the field offers across it before narrowing your focus. Miss Amanda Sandridge is our undergraduate academic advisor. I have her email up here, as well as you can make appointments through Navigate if you have questions about our BME curriculum. And now I'm going to start talking a little bit about the different opportunities we have. So within our curriculum, again, we're very purposeful in wanting to have a lot of hands-on experience for you. So this includes a cell engineering lab where you're actually going in and doing wet lab work. We have a bioinstrumentation lab where you're looking at different bioinstrumentation like EKG, EMG, pulse ox, all those different things, and you're constructing them in the lab. We also have a 2-semester sequence for senior design, where we have a dedicated senior design space with multiple 3D printers, vacuum former, foam cutter, what else do we have? Laser cutter, pretty much anything that you would want to use for prototyping we have in that space, and that is a dedicated space for our students to use. In addition to within the required curriculum, we have a lot of other curricular options for you to get some hands-on experience. So the picture we have here is actually one of our current students who is in the Sim Center in Roanoke. So the Sim Center at Carilion is where you can go and test out different devices or different methods for interacting in the hospital environment. So there's a mock surgery room and other things like that. And she's actually playing around right now with one of the simulation tools that is for bariatric surgery. Sorry. So this particular experience is held within our needs identification and healthcare course. So this is just one of the immersion experiences they have. They actually also go have an immersive experience in the Veterans Hospital up in Salem and in Walter Reed up in Washington, D.C. In terms of undergraduate research, internships, and co-op opportunities, from our first cohort that graduated last spring, we had over 80% participation in some experiential learning. So we have our students doing a lot of things hands-on and getting the experience they want. We offer a research lab internship program, which is where we partner with your faculty member to provide some departmental support to fund you in their research lab. We also have students taking undergrad research for credit, which can count for up to 3 credits of your technical elective credits towards your degree. We also have a lot of extracurricular design sprints. So the picture up here is actually, we had several students go to J-Labs, which is the Johnson & Johnson incubator up in Washington, D.C. And they got to do a design sprint working with industrial design and the J-Labs employees, which was really awesome. We also offer a lot of opportunities, like I said, to do the clinical immersions, so the Salem VA, Walter Reed, and the other partnering local hospitals. Some of the student organizations and chapters that are run through our department, they are mostly interdisciplinary student organizations, so it is not exclusive to BME. So if you are, for example, a BME minor, you are also able to participate in these organizations. Bioactivity is one of those where there are multiple engineering majors involved in this organization, and they're essentially working towards some grand design challenge for that year. The picture that is posted up there is one working on a bariatric lift for ambulances, and the bottom picture is our organization eNABLE. So eNABLE is actually a national organization where you can have a chapter at your university, and it is about 3D printing prosthetics for local individuals. So this is a local boy who is a quad amputee, and they were working with him to build him a lot of different attachments to be able to do sports. He loves sports. Some of the other organizations we have an Undergraduate Biomedical Engineering Society, Engineering World Health, where you're looking at more of a global focus for engineering solutions. And we also have Biomedical Engineering, a formal chapter of the Biomedical Engineering Society, or BMES. The Engineering, Science, and Mechanics minor is something that aligns really well with a BME degree, but it also aligns very well with a lot of other engineering degrees. So even if you are not considering BME, you should definitely consider looking at the Engineering, Science, and Mechanics minor. In most cases, it could be just careful selection of your technical electives would allow you to complete the minor, or maybe 1 or 2 other classes. All right, careers in BME. So historically, across the nation, students who graduate with a BME degree, we tend to say about 1/3 go on to industry, A third go on to some sort of graduate degree, whether that is a master's in engineering or a clinical degree like MD, PA, PT. And then a third go on to research labs or government labs. All those logos that we have up there are where our graduates have gone, first originally with our BME minor, and then once our program is established and we graduate our first cohort, we've been adding to this as well. Definitely would like to point out, for example, Stryker, Carillion, FDA. There is a large block for all the car companies. So I actually had a student ask me at the recent expo why BMW wants or cares about BMEs. Well, every car company has a safety division where occupant mechanics are really, really important to consider, as well as vehicle-to-person interactions. Ways to connect with BME, as I said, please reach out to our academic advisor, Ms. Amanda Sandridge, or you can also reach out to me. Thank you for your time.